Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to change your front brake pads on this 2006 Dodge Durango. If this video is helpful, can you smash that thumbs up button, leave a comment down below for the YouTube algorithm, really helps out a lot. First thing we're going to do is crack loose our lug nuts. Now put your jack on the frame and jack up the vehicle until your tire comes off the ground. Now we're going to remove the lug nuts and take off the wheel. Now we're going to remove this 10mm bolt and this 10mm bolt. So these bolts are actually called slide pins, and once you get this bottom one free of the caliper bracket down here, you're just going to pull it out. It pops out of these rubber boots here. There's these little grooves right here, top and bottom, that those rubber boots pop into. And this top bolt, now we are going to remove the caliper. To get this caliper loose, you need to get in the bottom here and get something long and sturdy to pry with. And you're going to pry from the bottom first. You want to pry from the bottom first because there's a clip here that holds it in. You won't be able to pry it at the top. So I'm going to pry from the bottom and pry this caliper right up and out. The passenger side is the opposite though. You want to pry it from the top out like this. Once you've got your caliper free, you can just kind of lay it up here on top of the rotor. Now we can remove our old brake pads here. You just use something to just kind of tap them out like that. The back one goes out the back. This front one comes out the front here. They just come out like this. The back one, same kind of deal there. Now we'll need to push our brake pistons back into the caliper. Easiest way to do that is with one of these tools here. I'll have this linked down in the description below where you can get one of these on Amazon, as well as brake pads and other such things that you might need for this job. So here's what I do is just take one of these plates that's big enough to cover the piston here, and then this plate slides on over this, and then you slip it in here like this, and then you can just turn that piston right back in. Pretty simple. You're going to turn it in until the piston literally bottoms out, and you won't be able to turn this at all. Do the same thing to the other piston. Sometimes when you push the second piston in, it'll kind of push the first piston back out a little bit. You can either just try pushing it in a little bit more, or another thing that you can do is take one of your old brake pads and set it in there so it's pushing on both of the pistons at the same time. Now we need to grease our slide pins, which are maybe a little bit of a pain to get out depending on your situation. So whoever did mine last didn't grease these pins like they should have. And so it's basically, I'm taking a hammer and tapping this down, and then I have a punch here that I set on top and tap it down, and you'll get that pin to slide through and pop out the other side. Now that we've got our pins out, we're gonna coat the outside of them with some grease that's specifically designed for this. I'll have this link down in the description below where you can get this on Amazon. When you put those pins back in, make sure that you get your boot back in that slot. Make sure that that boot goes back into that slot right there on both sides. Now if you got brake pads with new hardware, you'll pop these clips off. They just pull off. Just real easy like that. And then stick your new ones back on there. I got ones without them, but I'll have them linked in the description below with the hardware. And so then you just stick these pads back on, just like that. And on the back, same thing. When you place your caliper back on top of the brake pads, try to make sure that you don't get any of this rubber boot pinched between the pad and the piston. You're going to want to push these slide pins pretty far back that way so that you get clearance around here when you put this back on. When you're putting the caliper back in, you need to make sure that you get this piece and this piece tucked underneath the bracket. So this is going to go underneath this clip, and this will go underneath this right here, and then you'll fold it back down. The slide back here also can be pulled out of the way if it needs to. Now we want to grease these slide bolts before we put them back in. There we go. We're just going to lube it up like that. Now we're going to put a little bit of anti-seize on just the first half of the threads here. There we go, just like that. And then we're going to replace our bolt. You don't need to He-Man these bolts back in, but you do want to make sure that they are good and tight. Now at this point, you can go do the other side. But the one thing that you want to make sure that you do before you take right off driving is go in there and pump your pedal a few times. The reason you want to do that is you see the space here between the pad and the piston here. That's going to push the piston out and make sure that your pads are tight on the rotor. That way you don't have to pump your brakes a couple times the first time you need to stop. So that's pretty much it. Pretty simple. I hope this video is helpful to you. If it was, smash that thumbs up button. Leave a comment down below for the YouTube algorithm. Really helps out a lot. Thank you for watching and have a good one.